be talking about problem solving. So problem solving is actually something that everyone should be learning how to do properly, but not many people actually allow themselves to problem solve effectively. I'm not saying I'm the queen of problem solving. However, I do have some experience with the intersection between psychology and problem solving and how our psychology can limit or enhance our problem solving abilities. First thing I want to talk about is the way that we look at a problem. As Albert Einstein said, the first step to solving your problem is looking at the problem itself and really sitting with the question. You cannot know the solution until you've internalized the problem and you understand it really, really well, and you actually understand what the problem is asking. A lot of the time, many people are looking at problems and they're quickly jumping to solutions without considering the root cause of that problem. The book Labyrinth by Pawel Motyl, it basically talks about root cause analysis, which is a fundamental part of any kind of business class or even science class. What a root cause analysis is trying to get at the problem that started the whole onset of problems. For example, if I'm hungry and I don't eat, and then because I don't eat, I'm starving in class, I end up not paying attention. Then because I don't pay attention, I miss 5 slides. Then when I'm studying for the test, I didn't accurately take notes for those 5 slides, which leads me to miss 5 important sections of the test. When I'm taking the test, I get to those sections and I have no idea what's happening. I end up getting my test back and I get, 60% because I didn't study those 5 really important slides because they were missing, because I was not focused in class, because I was hungry, because I didn't eat breakfast. So it's really easy to look at getting a 60% in your test and on your test and say, well, I'm stupid. That's it. Well, I'm dumb. Well, I hate the teacher. Well, this isn't my subject. I clearly don't know what I'm doing. Do I even belong in this school? Man, I should just not do anything. So that's one conclusion you can draw, which would be the first layer of problem solving. The second conclusion is okay, well, I did poorly on the test, but why did I do so poorly? Well, was it because I just didn't take notes in class? And then you can go, okay, I didn't take notes in class. That's the problem, which is a deeper analysis than the first form of analysis that I presented to you, right? Well, okay, so you're in class and you didn't take notes. It's because I hate the class. That's why I didn't take notes. Or I'm inattentive. Or, I just don't do a good job at taking notes. Or, I don't know. You can come up with a variety of reasons why you didn't take notes. But is that really the problem, right? Now you have to look at the situation from, okay, I was inattentive in class, therefore I didn't take notes, therefore I failed my test, or I got a 60 or whatever. But why was I inattentive in class? Okay, well, I was inattentive in class because I was so distracted because my stomach was grumbling. Now, why was my stomach grumbling? Well, because I skipped breakfast. So this problem would be solved, hypothetically, by just eating breakfast. That's it. There you go. That's your solution. Eat more. But that would be an example of a root cause analysis. So what the book talks about is basically how it talks about a variety of causes for a variety of events that happened in the past. One example would be the 1996 Mount Everest expedition, during which, a lot of people died because of a variety of reasons. Some of the root causal reasons were the guides did not take into account the journey's magnitude and how difficult it would be, and that spiraled out of control throughout the whole expedition, and that resulted in the deaths of a lot of people. So what this method does is it allows us to trace back the reason for the issue. The only thing that concerns me about root cause analysis is the biases that we have as we're perceiving information. So I give you a linear pattern of thinking, right? Like X led to Y, Y led to Z, Z led to A, right? That was a linear pattern, and effectively it would solve the problem. I perceived each part of that network of causal events accurately, right? But let's introduce a bias into our analysis. Let's say you are very self-deprecating and you hate who you are and relatable, right? And then you just kind of perceive yourself to be lazy. Let's say you think you're lazy, okay? A lot of people think they're lazy. I mean, I think I'm lazy sometimes. Everyone thinks they're lazy sometimes. But let's say you really internalize this idea and it's part of how you perceive the world. So you would go through this process, right, of like, okay, so I failed my test where I did really poorly in my opinion. And now let's say the reason why that happened was because I didn't have the right notes. Okay, so you're doing okay. This is good. You're on the right path. However, then you go, I didn't have the right notes because I'm a lazy note taker. Full stop. There you go. That's the bias that limits your ability to solve the problem. There you go. The way you've perceived that piece of information is suddenly biased because of a misconception you have about yourself. And bang, it ruins your whole problem-solving initiative. Now you think you're lazy. You've justified that you're lazy, okay? And now you can't even solve the problem. Now your solution for next time is, as you're sitting in class, you might take better notes because you're gonna think about, okay, last time I took notes and they were bad because I was lazy, but this time I'll focus more. So you'll focus more, but to your own detriment, because theoretically you haven't solved the initial problem, which was the fact that you were distracted because you were hungry. And you now have, let's say, solved this problem, but you've reinforced the mental model that you are lazy. And that kind of creates this bias that perpetuates itself into infinity and beyond. And now you think you're lazy, and that's reinforced by your problem-solving mechanism. So, root cause analysis, but as you're analyzing, consider the perceptions of each node in your problem-solving analysis, and consider the biases that might lead you to draw conclusions that are not necessarily accurate, or they're coming from mental models that you have instilled in your mind throughout years of accumulating data and drawing conclusions that might be inaccurate. And there you go. That is one element of effective problem solving. Now, number 2. Now that you've established your problem successfully, let's assume that you follow this method of root cause analysis and you've analyzed the biases throughout each part of your root cause analysis. Great. You're on the righteous path towards problem solving. Now that we look towards the solution, you have to generate solutions but iterate those solutions. So assuming you've understood the problem effectively, now you have to create an effective solution, and that involves constant iteration until you reach a point when your solution solves a problem at its highest ability to solve the problem. For example, let's say, taking that same example, I've isolated that it was the hunger that caused my problem. How can I make sure that I never go through that again? Well, I can eat breakfast. That's one solution, right, to the problem. However, what if I live really far away from my university? So I eat breakfast, but when I eat it from home, I end up still being hungry in class. That wouldn't really solve your problem. Theoretically, it is down the right line of thinking that it could be better than not eating at all. But let's say you still get hungry in class, you still get distracted, you still don't take the right notes, you still go to study, you don't have the notes, and you still get a bad grade, right? One thing to do is to pack a lunch, right? Or pack your breakfast so that you're never really distracted. And that would be one solution you can iterate. That kind of iteration, from eating breakfast at home to bringing food with you in class that you don't get distracted, that kind of iteration is necessary for finding the right and appropriate solution to solve your problem. Now, you can also consider buying food, at the university. But if you buy food at the university, now you're spending money. And that connects itself with another potential problem, which is you're overspending on food. The idea that the solution must be iterated to perfectly kind of fit your needs for that particular problem usually involves a lot of variables. And this is why iteration is so important. You have to consider how your solution will impact other elements that the problem itself doesn't necessarily touch. So while you're solving one problem, you could be creating another. And that's part of the iteration process to make sure that you solve your problem without creating more problems. To conclude, when you're analyzing your problem, go for a root cause analysis. While you're doing your root cause analysis, figure out the biases within the system of whys. Is your perception of the reason accurate? Or are you driven by a mental model that is not necessarily substantiated in reality? Bang! Now that you've understood your problem well enough, you can iterate your solution so that you don't cause more problems, and so that you are optimally solving the problem that is the root cause of the issue. There you go. A little basic guideline of problem solving. I've used this a lot in my life. So hopefully this was beneficial for you, and subscribe for more psych info. This is what we do here. Bye.
I think I'm falling for you.